Travis Wingoodsell. You Mormons do remember the story of the Zoramites in the Book of Mormon, right? I need to go back over it for you. It's in Alma. It's chapter 32. Let's see. Alrighty. And it came to pass that they did go forth and began to preach the word of God unto the people. Word, word, word. God, God, God. Entering into their synagogues and into their houses. Yea, and even they did preach the word in their streets. What is the word? Word, word, word. Word is the bird. In Massapequa Park, my first area in the New York mission, Elder Gale, who was leaving that month, so yes, I was assigned to kill off 3 missionary companions all in a row as we were in the Pleasure Dome, or Pleasure Palace, as I think I called it. Others called it Pleasure Dome because of Thunderdome. But anyway, he decided that enough of his trunkiness, he was going to teach me how to be a missionary. And so we went tracting. The worst thing you can do as a missionary is tract. That produces the least results. Anyway, we came across one guy who was a rocker, long hair and all that stuff, and he had been out front, saw us coming in our suits, and gave us the bird and said, "The bird, man, the bird," and slammed the door to his house. So awesome. And it came to pass that after much labor among them, they began to have success. This is Alma and Amulek, if you're unfamiliar with your Book of Mormon stories. They began to have success among the poor. Oh, you guys are like hundreds of billions of dollars? Oh, okay, I'll be baptized. When do I get a check? That's why the Central and South American missions have failed, because they were under the impression that by joining the church they would be rich, that the church would share their wealth. Oops. And so they just abandoned the church. And then the Central American sacrament number attendance was leaked through Mormon leaks. Oops. Nobody's going to church. But yeah, they had success among the poor class of people. For behold, they were cast out of their synagogues because of the coarseness of their apparel. Therefore, they were not permitted to enter into their synagogues to worship God, being esteemed as filthiness. Therefore, they were poor. Yea, they were esteemed by their brethren as dross. That's a metallurgy term, or a metalworking term. When you melt ore to get to the metal, the dross is the waste stuff that's not the metal. Therefore, they were poor as to the things of the world, and also they were poor in heart. Oh. Precious and few are the moments we two can share. Now, as Alma was teaching and speaking unto the people upon the hill in Ida, there came a great multitude as he was speaking. Okay, you sort of messed that one up, Oliver. You do know Oliver Cowdery wrote this, right? This is his. There came a great multitude unto him, who were those of whom we had been speaking, of whom were poor in heart because of their poverty, as to the things of the world. And they came unto Alma, and the one who was the foremost among them, or in other words, the loudest, said unto him, Behold, what shall these my brethren do? For they are despised of all men because of their poverty, yea, and more especially by our priests. And our prophets, and our government leaders here in Utah, for they have cast us out of our synagogues. Now it's a Jewish thing, a Jewish church. So you can put church, you can put temple, doesn't matter. Which we have labored abundantly to build with our own hands. Ooh, see there, Mormons? You missed this part, because when I explain it to you, you all go, oh, I never realized that before. Yes, they weren't always poor. They built the synagogues. They did. You get paid to build the synagogues. Guess what happened? They finished the job. And then they were no longer employed. Then they were poor because there was nothing more for them to build. They were out of work. And they were poor. Now, why didn't they just save and be prepared for the day when there were no more synagogues to be built? That's how the rich Zoramites thought. And that's why they banned them. And they have cast us out because of our exceeding poverty, and we have no place to worship our God. And behold, what shall we do? Now when Alma heard this, he laughed hysterically. Oh, you dummies. Answer's obvious. I will use your humility and humiliation and take advantage of you by preaching the truth. You see the difference there, though. Oliver doesn't recognize it as he's saying it and writing about it. But the Zoramites already took advantage of the humbled circumstances of the poor Zoramites who are now unemployed to refer to them as dross, as filth, as ill putrescence. Princess Bride. And so they'd already been brainwashed by the rich Zoramites who told them that they were worthless scum. So Alma comes along and he goes, hey, great, they're humbled, I can mold their thinking. And that's what the rich Zoramites already did, but they did it through corruption, into corruption. Alma is going to do it the right way and teach them about faith leading to fruit. Big difference in brainwashing versus preaching truth and teaching truth. Alright. And so, yeah, when you're humbled, you're looking for answers, anything to satisfy that hole in your heart. Alright, yeah, and then he says, you don't need a church. They're not talking about temple either, though, but Oliver was not really into the temples, apparently. That was more of the Smiths thing. Because William, with the naming of his children, didn't seem to have a Freemason tie like Joseph Sr. did. As Hiram Abiff, spelled exactly the same on his birth certificate and court appearances. It would explain why Hiram or Oliver is not thinking in terms of temple rituals for exaltation. It's the Smiths who were involved in the York riots with the Knights Templar, connected to the Egyptians, thus Friday the 13th, and thus coming to America and settling Little Egypt as the land of New Jerusalem at a future time when there would be 2 solar eclipses crossing each other at Little Egypt. But anyway, so now let's compare what the church is doing. After the Great Depression, or during the Great Depression, the church got this brilliant idea. We'll do what they do in the Bible and create storehouses. So they created Welfare Square and Bishop Storehouses to help Mormons who were affected by the Great Depression. A little late, but nonetheless they still did it, and some survived as a result. But then, over time, they didn't like the idea that Mormons were continually using welfare. They don't want to create a welfare state where we have to constantly give. Why don't they just get a haircut and get a real job? I can't remember the singer's name, but that's from a song. And so they tried to teach Mormons through their welfare sessions of conference. And they were trying to turn it away from Mormons being dependent on the church so that Mormons would start being self-reliant. And Mormons would get a real job, not a burger flipping job. Those are for teens. So we can justify paying them minimum wage. You have to get a full-time, high-paying job. Okay, we're going to have a pause here as I put up the other video. Stop spreading the jam. Oh, nobody liked my Mr. Glass Armageddon Beast finds Unbreakable Mormon Messiah. You guys all went to Heavenly Sign of Revelation 12 Gone. And then the next one is Mormon Obvious Utah News Update. Huh. Mr. Glass was awesome, guys. You're missing out on the wrong ones. Somebody's here. Who would be here at 9? That's not good. Alright, LDS Mormon coronavirus fast results. LDS Mormon coronavirus. There we go. Better not be Percy. Alright, so description. Should I find a video on getting scammed? Oh, I can do the John Oliver Prosperity Gospel. That's it. Prosperity Gospel. There's somebody who did a Mormon version. Televangelists. Our Lady of Perpetual Exemption. There it is. Tithing, Gospel of Mormon Prosperity. And it's just him doing his televangelist one, but somebody put the picture of the Salt Lake Temple in front of the other picture he had, and it's just him talking. So I can't have him talking, because YouTube will flag it. Heaven forbid. It's just ridiculous. You can post links and share, but you can't use a clip. It's so lame. It's such a violation of the copyright law. Alrighty, so this one was the fast results. So this is LDS crimes, Mormon brainwashing, church closed, LDS critic, the end, comment review, LDS news, Utah news. We could say plot to conquer U.S. Definitely economy. And then personal, Mormon culture, Mormon coming of Christ, Latter-day Resistance, biblical prophecy, and I think that's it. Oh, corrected Mormonism. We need corrected Mormonism. Where's that? Corrected Mormonism. There we go. Alrighty. More options. Hold. Newest. Don't show. Publica. Alrighty. So this one can be thrown away now. What? Oh, there it is. LDS welfare. So, a needle pulling thread. Found the AC/DC version. It's their Hell's Bells. A few of my favorite things. And so, with Welfare Square built, and Mormons thinking, hey, well, I'm now a Mormon, church owes me, I don't have a job. And in my generation, during the 80s, the government of the United States under Reagan decided to do what was called Reagan economics, because Reagan, and it's also called trickle-down economics, where they decided, hey, rather than giving to Americans, why don't we give to the big corporations and they will pass the money on down through their employment. That'll help stimulate the economy. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. It was a complete and utter failure because the companies got greedy. Oh, you're giving us money? Thank you. We'll reinvest it in the stock market and add an extra bonus for us. And so, as you can see, the Republicans continue that model as Americans get screwed and big corporations get bigger and bigger and bigger, thus the Great Divide. And so the church is a corporation. They are benefiting as a corporation. And so they don't want to have to pay Mormons. And so they started to try to get Mormons to think in terms of take care of yourself, be responsible, don't become idle, get a good paying job to be a worthy and righteous husband and father. And so Benson then comes out and says, we're going back to the basics. And he was the one that did away with the welfare meetings. And he did, I found it the other day, Tribulation in Prosperity. I can't remember the name of the video now. Hold on, let me look it up, as this one's going to be a long one already. Go to that file, then we go to this file, and we go to that file, and we go to this file. And let's see, there's a lot of Ezra Taft Benson. Prepare for the days of tribulation. And he's the president of the church during that. Not just from the captions, but also he apostles don't get to say, we're doing a new thing. I'm doing away with the old. Only the president of the church gets to say something like that. And so, he says, we're going back to the basics. And trying to wean Mormons off of Welfare Square. And so, Mormons we're taught that you have to go to other people related to you, or your neighbors, or government, rather than the church, in order to be taken care of. Because the church doesn't want to do it anymore. Or for emergencies, rainy days. Rainy days and Mondays always bring me down. The Carpenters do a good job, but Emma Rossum, that is an excellent remake. But nobody else liked it. And then I found she had YouTube videos. And I found out what I bought the CDs, but that was before YouTube. So I knew what she looked like. Wow. Gorgeous hair. Wow. Wow. Glory of her is definitely her hair. Anyway, and so when you have prophets trying to wean you off of welfare, Mormons off of welfare, there are natural results. And sure enough, they fell right into the Zoramite trap. As Mormons associated being rich and prosperous, not on welfare, as being righteous, prepared, self-reliant, able to survive natural disasters, emergencies, coronavirus, and will rise with the church at the end of coronavirus, and be exalted after we die. I was rich, therefore I was righteous. Oops, that's a false doctrine. Whose doctrine is that? Oh yeah, Anton LaVey had something to say about that in his Bible of a certain deity. And so the Mormons fell right into the trap of Luciferian doctrine, literally, as they followed the Zoramites' bad example. And so the poor, there are some of us who resist and say, no, we know exactly who's to blame for our poverty. It's you, the church. It's you, the government. It's you, big corporations. They're the ones to blame for the gap. And with coronavirus, again, you see the government and trying to say, this is a virus, this wasn't in our control, as they purposely sabotage Americans and now are wartime criminals, as we have more deaths than 9/11. Trump. And so, the church is saying that welfare square is for emergencies, preparing for the days of tribulation. But did you see how they did it? They told us when they got caught with the $100 billion in tithing scandal, which is the video none of you are watching. And I did it twice, and you still aren't watching. The church says, well, of course we're taking a portion from tithing into an investment company where we are saving for a rainy day. And then coronavirus. Where's the money, guys? Where's the money? Where's the beef? And fellow subscriber use that old Wendy's commercial. Another redhead. Well, not another, because Emmy is not redhead. She's dark-haired. Oh, gorgeous hair. Where am I? What am I doing? Who am I? And so they're trying to guilt Mormons, blaming Mormons for not being prepared for coronavirus, when the church had sabotaged us. The church refused to help. It's supposed to be temporary. You're supposed to be able to get an immediate job. that pays a lot of money. Otherwise, you're worthless scum, as the family proclamation has convinced Mormons to believe, as I fell victim to it with my first wife, who's now a woman formerly called my wife. And she used my parents to justify it, saying, oh, we're struggling financially. I don't have our own home. We have to stay in your basement, and I don't have a car to go shopping, and I don't have credit cards to go shopping with, and an unlimited credit line, and I don't have a white picket fence, and what are the kids gonna do? I have to throw them in too. It's not just for me. And so my mom comes down with a family proclamation. Go away. It's not what it says, but Mormons interpret it as such because of the way it was worded. And so Mormons blame victims rather than the true criminals, which are the government, which are the businesses, which is the church. They're the true criminals. They're the cause of the problem. And so, the Zoramite syndrome, church is living it. We're all gonna die.